Nuclear apocalypse is a hell of a thing, isn't it? Definitely not good for anyone involved, considering that, everyone kinda dies. That said, it's certainly something that can make for an interesting game. We've talked about how games present war before, and today we're kinda doing it again, though the focus is less on war as a whole, and more specifically on weapons of mass destruction. Nukes and dirty bombs and shit like that. Blind Plug Studios' First Strike Final Hour was originally a mobile game known just as First Strike. After some pretty decent success, they decided to add some features and bring it to PC. It actually reminds me a lot of Defcon with a few different mechanics. The aim of the game is to be the last world superpower standing, and to get there you drop massive amounts of megatons on neighboring countries. A round's progression is fairly straightforward. You pick your country and your two super weapons, and then you kinda just hop in and start expanding your territory. Everything you do in game takes time, from researching and building weapons to expanding into new territories and even negotiating with other superpowers around the world. Because none of the menus actually pause the game except, the pause menu, you're always clicking around and doing something. Sending a missile strike 1 second and negotiating with a country the next. Until you get a specific upgrade, you even have to manually defend your country from incoming strikes. The constant need to maintain balance between managing your arsenal and making sure you're not getting blown to shit does a great job of helping First Strike make its point. There's a constant need for more. Whether there's a real need or a superficial one is hard to tell. Because we're, dealing with nuclear holocaust, the progression of a round shows just how fast these things can escalate and just how devastating they can be. Much like in one of the game's main pieces of inspiration, Defcon, whenever you wipe out a city, a death toll is displayed. When you use the First Strike ability to send as many missiles as you can to a location, you see them travel around the globe to their target, and it's actually kind of frightening. Even more so when another country does it and targets you, sending you into a panic as you try to defend against as many missiles as you can. In the devs' own videos about their game, which I've linked down below, they talk about the inspiration and purpose behind First Strike. The whole game was formed around the idea of the Cold War, the dangers of nuclear weapons, and just how terrifying and very real the potential for nuclear holocaust is. They wanted to bring this idea to the front of the players' minds. They want people who play this to think about the politics behind the game, and the fact that they chose a war game to portray this message does a pretty great job, and the message isn't lost on me at all. Not only is First Strike Final Hour a decent bit of fun to pick up every now and then, but it gets the message across well through nothing more than its mechanics. It's a clever game that manages to be political without shoving it down your throat like a lot of games do nowadays. You can pick it up on Steam for about $12. Considering the amount of unlockables the game has and just how replayable it is, I think that's a pretty fair price. If you're a fan of games like Defcon or strategy games in general, then this is definitely one for you to check out. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Indie Bytes. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please remember to leave a like and subscribe for more stuff like this. Be sure to check out the other content that we put out on this channel, and remember to drop me a line here on Twitter or through email with any game recommendations that you've got. You can find all that stuff down in the description below. I'll see you next time. Bye!